Carl Robinson, Part 4, Verbal Reporting. This part of the assessment requires you to demonstrate your ability to report hygiene hazards and practices for food safety that do not comply with the organization's and industry standards for the unit SITX FSA001, use hygienic practices for food safety. This part requires you to record 2 video presentations or voice recordings. Instructions. There are 3 scenarios below. Select 2 of these scenarios. So the first one I've chosen is you've noticed a colleague did not wash their hands between different food preparation tasks using cooked and raw meat. So first explain the food hazard in this situation. So the underlying food hazard in all of these is the issue of bacteria, microorganism, cross-contamination, because there's various things here which host bacteria, hands, unwashed hands in particular, cooked meat and raw meat. So all these 3 things host bacteria, and the movement between them causes bacteria's conditions to change, especially the contact between the 2. So you make contact, raw meat, for example, hasn't had a lot of bacteria cooked out of it yet, so then you need to always wash your hands going from raw meat and cooked meat, and even the other way around, cooked meat to raw meat. There's still a lot, or not some, there's still a lot of bacteria issues with all of these things. So firstly, wash the hands. So explain how this unsafe practice should be reported. So it is an issue. It does need to go to the Food Authority, New South Wales. So explain how this unsafe practice needs to be reported. So it needs to be reported immediately, especially to stop people getting ill or any more food becoming contaminated and bacteria multiplying across food stocks. All the correct actions taken. So yeah, making sure everything is in place and in order. And when food is contaminated, it should be reported to environmental health officer or manager of the kitchen facility, or the owner or franchisee people, and then they would need to report with hazard incident report form to New South Wales Food Authority. So then there is the task, which was the cooked meat and raw meat, and not washing hands in between. So yeah, it makes it really difficult to eliminate bacteria and microbial growth. So you need to always wash hands between cooked meat and raw meat. So then you need to also note down in hazard report form any equipment. For example, SafeWork New South Wales has a hazard report form on their website. So then gloves, which you need readily available gloves. Put them somewhere which is high up and well protected. And then there is changing gloves between tasks, washing hands between tasks, because you really need to make sure that things aren't growing on, like bacteria aren't growing on your hands. So you need to wash them. Use correct washing. So, for example, wetting hands, liquid soap, non-contact with the taps. You have to lather your hands, scrub them for about 20 seconds, rinse them with cold water about 10 seconds, dry your hands preferably with paper towel, turning off taps. Wash the back and front of your hands, back and front of wrists. Clean nails with your nails. Avoid keeping nail brushes around in kitchens. They can hold in bacteria growing on them, fungus and things. So you need to not use nail brushes. Yeah, you also have to like make sure like you've got the details of what happened, what time it happened, what parts of the workplace it happened, between these benches, between the front bench and the back bench of the kitchen, for example, or the side bench. So then you know exactly what happened. Was it in the food preparation area as well, which also could have a lot of issues because the food preparation area is closest to where it gets sent out to customers, and you need to keep that all parts of the kitchen. Basically, it was involved in even washrooms. So if it was, and make sure that it's washed in the correct tap for hand washing, not washing raw meat or cooked meat particles off your hands in the wash basin. Make sure you do it in the hand washing tap. And then, so yeah, it has to be, yeah, eliminated in future. Make sure possibly have glove devices, like a glove box device to make it easier to pull out gloves or something like that, or make sure that gloves are placed in an area where someone can walk to them and pull them out between the tasks. Changing gloves, yeah, washing hands, make sure that the person does go to the tap and they understand the importance of it, and consequences. So eliminating the problem by washing their hands, or possibly if it's more of a larger environment, have separate job tasks. So one person doing cooked meat, one person doing raw meat, where they should still be washing their hands. So the other task here is when you arrive at work, you find an open box of food handlers' gloves under the sink on an exposed shelf. The kitchen hand is draining the water off the pre-peeled potatoes into the sink, which splashes onto the floor. So, number one, another cross-contamination issue. This would be considered like equipment to food cross-contamination. And then raw vegetables in particular, they contain germs. They can pick up these germs from the paddock they're farmed in, or somewhere they're stored or handled with unclean hands, etc. And then, um, yeah, during transport and things like that. And then they can just have germs on them anyway as part of the vegetable and having germs on it. And then, yeah, so as peels, again, the peels, pre-peeled potatoes into the sink. So pre-peeling things, you can, it's comes with the time rule as well, like were they pre-peeled and then refrigerated straight away? They could have been kept, or were they pre-peeled and kept out of the refrigerator? So you need to refrigerate them. And then raw vegetables contain germs. Yeah, they could also, the germs then feed on the potato as a food source to create even more germs, which just is bad. And then, yeah, there's an open drawer beneath the sink, and this contains gloves. So then, gloves which are also opened. So then, with this bacteria, if it splashes from the sink to the gloves, yeah, the gloves go everywhere, and then everything the gloves contact with now could potentially contain that. So the exposed shelf leaves the gloves open to the atmosphere, which can also increase bacteria. So another part is there is arriving at work. The food handling gloves placed beneath the sink, and the shelf is exposed. So the kitchen has drained water off pre-peeled potatoes into the sink, which splashes onto the floor. So when you got things splashing, they can end up all sorts of places, including an exposed shelf. So then, yeah, and even splashing on the floor, because once bacteria multiplies, it can grow, even upwards in surfaces. So that needs to be cleaned immediately. And then, yeah, equipment to food cross-contamination, raw vegetable germs spreading onto the gloves, which they could spread, but which then can spread onto other foods, and then germs. There'd be pre-peeled potato germs in the sink. If it's so the gloves should be kept away from these food sort of areas, and be put above things. You know, you've got your 3.2.2 New South Wales Food Authority standard, which this would be breaching because it's not food safety with hygiene. Then this would also require a hazard report, incidents report form, Safe Work New South Wales. So you need to describe what was happening. Gloves getting contaminated. This could cross on the food. Luckily, we're dealing with it immediately. So, yeah, the equipment, tools, people. So, which person put it under the sink? Which person was washing the potato? Shelves and drawers are not left exposed. Even dust and things can be an issue with shelves and things. So, it's really important not to have them exposed. So then, yeah, then it'd be eliminated by making sure things don't splash during washing of vegetables, making sure that the gloves can be moved to a different place. So then to sanitize everything with the correct soaps, eliminate any bacteria which thrive in acidic conditions or basic conditions, or using hot water, which destroy bacteria. Then you'd need to, yeah, make sure gloves aren't put beneath things again, where they can have anything splash on them or anything, um, yeah, splashing onto the floor and splashing onto the shelf, and yeah, spreading through the shelf where the gloves are kept.